Drew Brees says Aaron Donald, the best player in the NFL. I know. Yes, Kyle.
Did you know Zion Williamson was 16 months old when Drew Brees made his NFL debut?
I read that the other day, and they have quite the bond there in
That's
New Orleans.
Ridiculous.
Watch this segue. And they have quite the bond there in New Orleans. One of the markets that Sean Salisbury's radio show reaches, although it's centralized in Houston. Our good friend, Sean Salisbury, joins us. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're good. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
You know, our last guest came on and said, how are we doing? And I ranted yesterday about how that question stresses me out, Sean, because I don't know how the other person is doing. You actually approached it the proper way. You said, how are you doing this morning? Sean, I don't know how you're doing, right? So why would you ask me, how are we doing? Because I'd stress, like, what if you had a really bad day, right? Then what am I doing?
Well, if I had a bad, but it's okay to ask, because if I had a bad day, guess what I'd say? Had a crappy day, but it's about to get better. See, I'm a glass half full guy, so it's okay to ask. If you don't ask, then if I don't ask, it means I really don't care how your day's going. If I do ask, and it's a crappy day, then I'll do all I can to make it a better day to make you laugh. So I win that way by at least knowing what's going on with you. That's my philosophy, brother. So I'm glad. Well, it's Friday.
It is.
It can't be that bad, right? As long as everybody's healthy.
Drew Brees says Aaron Donald is the best player in the NFL. Do you agree?
Drew Brees is exactly right. Said it on my show. Said of the players. When I'm talking about just the best, the most impactful football player in the league, no, that's a quarterback because they have the ball in their hand 70 times a game.
Sure.
65, 70 times a game. That's fact. But the best football player, if you say, Sean, who's the best football player in football? It's Aaron Donald. Difference, maybe he dominates you inside. He can, and this is all the pressure he gets in the run game and from the inside. Imagine what he'd do if he was an outside pressure pass rusher. The guy's phenomenal. So you have to. There's only a handful of guys that I've ever played against that you went into a game and Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor were two of them. That you had to know where they were. Heck, when they were over there getting Gatorade, you knew where they were. That's Aaron Donald. The impact that that an offense goes through during a game, the week of practice to prepare for a guy like him, is equivalent to what a defense has to do with a good quarterback. And that's the honest to God truth. Because if you're playing against Mahomes, you're like, good gracious, dude. He can do this, he can do this, he can do this, he can do this. So it stresses out your coordinator and makes him use up a lot of practice time, and that's Aaron Donald, the defense end. So couldn't agree more. Best football player, yes. Would I start a franchise with him first? No, I would take the dude in Kansas City because a youth wants to be better, size, the way he's been taught by Andy Reid. That's how I go. Yet, hell, for one season, I'll still take the dude in New England because I know that I'm going to have a chance to. The guy trains like a backup and performs like a superstar. I know I got a chance to win a Super Bowl, and if Brady wanted a 1-year, $50 million contract, he should get it. So, but Aaron Donald's football's best player. I would agree.
Sean Salisbury with us. Sean, I didn't ask you this a couple weeks ago, and I should have. I was thinking about you during the week with Robbie Gould of the 49ers saying he wanted a trade, didn't want to come back to San Francisco. They couldn't agree on a contract. Then a few days before training camp, he gets his contract. He reports to camp. How would that have gone when you played if a Vikings kicker, for example, had held out? I imagine something would have been said to him in training camp.
Yeah, or he would have been, and this is old school, and I'm sure Robbie's a good dude. I was fortunate, man. I played with some cool-ass kickers. Think about Fuad Revez was one of them. I saw Fuad Revez pin a defensive lineman in a wrestling match, a kicker, in our locker room. And I'll leave the guy's name out so I don't embarrass. Well, let's just put it this way. Multi-time Pro Bowler, put him in a wrestling move on the ground and got him in a pinhold in a matter of about 10 seconds. That was our kicker. So the respect there. John Carney, cool bastard. Hell, I came into the league with John. I held for him the last year of my career when I played in San Diego. I was the holder there, quarterback, but I also held for John Carney in San Diego. I worked at TV for 12 years at ESPN, and I was still covering the dude kicking in the NFL.
Right.
And John was in the weight room. I remember when Dean Biasucci and Ron Stark in Indianapolis both bench press between 300 and 400 pounds. So I've been one of those guys a little different. I got some studs that were part of our punter, Harry Newsom, Darren, God, why am I losing? My Australian punter in Darren Bennett in San Diego, Australian rules football guy, about 6'4.5", 260, punting. Dude, I've been lucky. So, but how they would have been treated? when a kicker threatens to hold out, you say, take your golf swinging on the sideline practicing ass during our meetings and practice and hold out. Because you know what? We all feel, unless you're Morton Anderson or Adam Vinatieri. See, the Adam Vinatieri wouldn't say that. He'd just keep it quiet, wouldn't shut, get it done, and he's still kicking. That's the type of guys I'm talking. That's what Robbie's. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a great guy. And I hold kicker, believe me, I'm not one of those guys who disrespects him because they're so important to our success. The Phil Dawsons, the Adam Vinatieris of the world, they are. But during practice, when you're in meetings, they're playing cribbage or dominoes, okay? So, and other practices. So you do give them a hard time. They are part of the team and a big part of it. But when a kicker threatens to hold out, it probably wouldn't go over well with the nose guard or the pass rushing defensive end or the dudes who are getting their brains beat in during practice. Yeah, it would not go over well, but when you're a good kicker, you got a little more leeway, and Robbie's been a pretty solid kicker.
I forgot, Sean, that you were a holder for a minute, so let me ask you. I know it seems like a stupid question, and maybe it is, but was holding for a kicker in some ways more stressful than being a quarterback? I would freak out. I would be nervous.
Okay, it's a trip, dude, because whether it's snow or unfortunately big hands, and I practiced and I knew, and you've got to tilt it the way they want it.
Yeah.
And you remember, we don't put it on a pad, we put it on dirt, so you put your finger there, they come up, put their toe there, and if you miss it by a quarter of an inch, that's on you. So you have to have great hand-eye coordination, and it doesn't matter if it's, and I never wore gloves in cold or any of that stuff as a quarterback, I didn't. If it's raining, if you remember in San Diego when we were playing at Qualcomm, half our games were played with a dirt infield, at least there were 3 or 4 of them before the grass grew in during baseball season. Remember that?
Yeah.
We played a game in Oakland, so you'd get that and you'd do everything you could as an offense to get the ball on the grass knowing you're getting ready to kick a field goal. But I'm proud to say I've never dropped a center snap, never missed it. John might have missed one kick that year, I think, but we didn't miss. We worked endlessly at it, and yeah, you're right. More stress because I know I can throw the football and read a defense and play quarterback, and I knew I could hold. But you're thinking, what if this is the time that David Ben, who was a great snapper, and gave me the part where rarely did I have to spin the laces because and they work on that to where the ball spins just enough times at 8 yards deep for the holder to where I catch and put it down and go have to spin. But you got to adjust it sometimes. The key is hitting the spot. The kicker wants it there, the size of a fingertip, in the dirt or in the grass. You put it there, and you tilt it. John liked it tall, almost sitting straight up, tilted to the left for a right-footed kicker. That's how he wanted it.
Wow.
And a lot of those misses are on the holder by missing the spot. So, hell yeah, it was stressful. You go into Three River Stadium, it's cold as balls, and the snow and rain are coming down, and you win you got to win a game, and it's a 40-yard field goal. Hell, yeah. If the ball's not perfect, you got to make sure. So we take that for granted, dude. I'm telling you, there's the stress that goes on. Now you practice it, but that one kicks the difference in your season, possibly. So I took it very serious, but I was fortunate to be with a Mr. Consistency, dude. He was automatic as long as you hit the spot.
Did you ever get your hand kicked? That's always my worry.
No, I never even thought about it, dude. Those guys, listen, that'd be like, honestly, you standing at in front of a golfer. True story now. You standing in front of a golfer or a soccer player who can bend it. Let's say you're 15 yards, 20 yards in front of them, and you stand there and they're hitting range balls.
Right.
They're not going to hit you.
Right.
They got that much control of it. Now they may say, "Here, hold out your hand. I'm going to hit a flop shot into your hand." They can do that.
Sure.
Or the soccer player can say, "You stand right there, and I'm going to bend it around you where it starts on your left shoulder and ends on your right shoulder." Yeah, but no, at no time. It's not like Charlie Brown and Lucy where you pick the ball up and they kick your hand. At no time did I ever get. Now we had guys that'll rush the pass, rush in, rough you, and a guy diving in and hits you as a holder. But no, those guys are dead solid. Rarely, and if they miss, they may miss low, but they rarely miss high. So no, I never got kicked.
You do sports radio in Houston, Sean, and I am curious because I know Texas is a major football state. That's an understatement. But you have Russell Westbrook coming to the Houston Rockets, who, by the way, weren't bad last year. You've got the Houston Astros, and we'll get to this more in a second, who are now the presumptive favorite to win the World Series again. And you have the Houston Texans, who are about to start. Are the Texans third in that town as far as interest, or am I completely off base?
Yeah, when you shoot now, if you go to games, they'll show up at games.
Yeah.
The Texans fans, it's football and it's Sunday. They'll tailgate and show up. But as far as, like, if you're just talking about radio interest and fan interest,
Yeah.
I do every week now. I started this thing called my Salisbury Roundtable.
Saw that.
Where I choose between 8 and 10 fans each week. I take them out, and I don't want to sponsor. It's out of my pocket. I treat them with all the beer and food they want. And for 2.5 hours, 2 hours to 2.5 hours, we just talk what they love, sports. I want to know about them. I just bring the relationships together, talking sports, and giving them a chance to get in the huddle with me or get in the dugout with me. And then just life stories. We're just catching up. We have a blast. My second one was last night, and I've had 2 now, so that's 20 people in a small sample size. 1 out of the 20 could care less about the Texans until the season starts and little interest. So, yes, they are third. This is by far, and it's not close. Texas, a football state, it's an Astros town, and it's not even close.
Wow.
And that's JJ. And I'm telling you, when I say that, I'm not kidding you. It is not close. You can go on and say, hey, Deshaun Watson, 5th best quarterback in the league. Yeah, and I don't judge a show by callers. It's by listeners, good radio, and revenue, and what you're bringing in. But do that. Call up and say Bregman's the 5th best third baseman in the league, and you'll get 500 callers in 8 seconds.
Wow.
So it's a baseball town through and through. And I get Jeff Luno on the show every week, and he's a genius, and he's the Mount Rushmore of current general managers in all sports. But no question, it's a baseball town, and David's not close. And you think, though, real quick, think about this. Westbrook and Harden, Watson, Hopkins, Watt, maybe Clowney if it ever comes to fruition, Bregman, Correa, Springer, Altuve, Verlander, Cole, and Greinke. Now, for one town, now they're not winning a lot of championships right now. I mean, the Astros are the most recent. But you talk about star power?
Yeah.
This has as much star power as any team with 3 major sports franchises in the country. Now, if it hasn't translated to championships just with the Astros recently, but it's hard to choose who the biggest star in this town is, and it'd probably go between Watt and Altuve right now. Think about that.
Wow.
With Watson and all these other guys. The most recognizable is Harden, the beard, basketball.
Sure.
But when it comes to it, it'd be a toss-up between Watt and Altuve, and most people think Altuve would win that. This is a baseball town.
I think if you polled everybody outside of Texas and said who is the biggest star in Houston to Houstonians, I think it would be people would vote James Harden by like 89%. That's fascinating to me that he's.
I agree, and it says he's recognizable in the beard and hoops and all this stuff. And I'll tell you what, and then you'd say maybe J.J. Watt because you think about the impact off the field as well. And isn't it amazing? 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, first ballot lock on the Hall of Fame. And there may be 2 or 3 guys that people would put in front of him nationally when it came to who's the biggest star in town. And the biggest star in town may eventually be Alex Bregman here.
Yep.
And it's true. The fascination with Bregman in this town, dude, is almost cult-like. It's crazy. This is a baseball town.
Sean Salisbury with us. And Sean, I know you had Jeff on your show last week and what he's done for the Astros, not just in the show, but the fact that they have a top 5. I was looking at this last week and was shocked to see the Astros and the Dodgers both with top 5 farm systems. And now they add Zach Greinke to a starting rotation that already was arguably the best in the league. And we're the home of the A's. We got a ton of A's fans here. And I think there was a lot of, head scratching. You just see to say the strong got stronger is an understatement. He has that team absolutely running on all cylinders.
Yeah, Kurt Schilling joined the show today. Wade Boggs yesterday. Luno joins us every week. He came on the day after, normally on Wednesday, but that was trade deadline day. Came on yesterday. And, here's a couple things to it. And Schilling said, congratulations to the 2019 World Series champions. And,
wow.
You still got to play them out. But he said they're overwhelming favorites. And then there's the rest of the league. Schilling said that today. And when I talked to Jeff Luno, the fact that within 45 minutes of the trade deadline, they had nothing secure with Greinke. And he said, they were inquiring about Robbie Ray and a reliever, and all of a sudden, Greinke's name came up, and before you know it, and here's why I love Luno. And here's the disappointment in this town like the Texans. At least Daryl Morey went out and got Westbrook.
Yep.
And he's better than Chris Paul at this stage. At least, Jeff Luno, now think about 3 years in a row. Verlander during a season, World Series champs. Cole ramping it up 100, going to lead the league in strikeouts the second year in an off-season trade. And now you go get Greinke when you're already World Series loaded. See, I take parades over prospects.
Yep.
You got to be, these guys who hoard draft picks and prospects, it's all fine and dandy, but your responsibility as a front office and GM is to put your team, if you're a World Series or Super Bowl caliber team, you arm them with the best chance to win it now. You don't worry about 2024, not gutting your roster. And he did it all without giving up Forrest Whitley or Kyle Tucker, their 1 and 2 prospect. So he's brilliant. And the key is you've got to have the balls to say, I'm willing to take this chance at a mid-30s Zach Greinke, who is a 1 on 80% of the staff's minimum in this league. How are you going to beat them in a 5-game series with those 3 guys going? No, honestly. Right. You expect, even in a 7-game series, do you honestly expect that all 3 of those dudes are going to have 2 bad starts in a row?
No.
Really? So they are the overwhelming favorite. And Luno, instead of sitting there saying, well, in 2024 we could be really good and Seth Beer could be an MVP. No, he said in 2019 we can win another World Series. So give me the parade as opposed to the prospect. Quit, and I told the Texans, quit hoarding draft picks, man. Go trade for Trent Williams. Go do it. It's your biggest weakness. Go offer a 2 and a 4 and a player, and go get a guy that brings your biggest weakness and turns it into a pretty good strength just that quick. Quit leaving that crap on the table. You owe it to your team. And I personally think that you're a coward if you don't give your team the best chance to win as a front office guy. And Luno is as good as we have in the business at giving the Astros every year a legitimate chance with players to win it.
Well, and what's incredible is baseball has become so numbers-oriented, which is why teams are being so conservative at the trade deadline, because the numbers say that you want prospects and you want to build for the future. But the Astros have managed to do both. And I think that teams are going to have to follow their model if they're going to compete with them anytime soon.
Kyle, they're the poster child right now.
Yeah.
Look what the Twins are doing. Atlanta Braves. Hey, watch the Padres in about 2 years. Look at their look at their farm system. Look what they've done with Tatis. You had a veteran like Machado, good pitching. Look what they're doing. So, yes, this has become the model franchise for a team that 7 years ago was winning 60 games. So they did go through their fire sale and getting their ass whooped and build the farm system, yet they still have it. Think about it. Forrest Whitley and Kyle Tucker are still here, and you landed Zach Greinke. Now, that's just brilliant negotiating, yes, and it's such an sabermetrics, analytics type of thing, but there's also got to be a little feel, and part of getting Zach Greinke's feel, too, you look at the numbers, say he's having a monster season, he's really good, he's an all-star multiple times, a Cy Young guy. What does he bring to us and gives us, even though postseason's power pitching, he's become kind of Greg Maddux, where he's not just a thrower now, he's a pitcher. And Schilling said something great. He goes, give me 98 and no control or no command. I'll take 92 with command. That's every bit or more effective. And that's Greinke right now. So, yeah, the Astros are, when you look how to get it done, they're the franchise to do it. This is coming from a 50-year Red Sox fan and growing up in California. But how do you not admire what they're doing and how they're doing it? World Series championships and rings are what it's about. It's not about worrying that, oh, my gosh, what if one of our prospects that we get rid of becomes the MVP 5 years from now? And I'll take the World Series, and he can go get his MVP somewhere else. Ask Mike Trout how a World Series ring would look for him. And Mike Trout, when we all said and done, when we're talking about Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, you know whose name, Mickey Mantle, you know whose name's going to be mentioned there or near the top, if not the top, is Mike Trout. But here's what's going to hold him back. A World Series ring.
Yep.
And that's the sad part, because he's by far, and it isn't even close, the best player in baseball. Mike's not a self-promoter and the rest of it. But think if Mike Trout had 2 World Series rings on the Yankees or the Astros right now. Now think how the narrative, the talk, and we already acknowledge that he's far and away. He's Brady of baseball at a younger age, and he's like Willie Mays. And yet, no championship ring, so we're going to say, yeah, but. I even hear it here in Houston, yeah, we got Bregman. He's got a ring. Or Trout, yeah, but he didn't have a ring. Can you imagine if Trout was in Houston's lineup? So it's pretty fascinating, man, what Jeff Luhnow has done. And if they don't win the World Series, it'll be quite a disappointment because they are loaded. And you got to have a little luck and health on your side as well, guys.
That is the great Sean Salisbury, former holder in the NFL. Host of a radio show.
Holders don't threaten holdouts, dude. I promise you that.
That's right. That's exactly right. You can't be a holder and have a holdout. You can follow Sean on at Sean Unfiltered on Twitter as well. Brother, you're the best. I will talk to you in 7 days.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you. That's Sean Salisbury.
The Drive.